All right, so in this movie, what I want to continue talking about is editing your sequence, okay, and continuing to edit your story. So I have advanced a little bit further. I've added a couple more clips. So again, I just double clicked on a clip, loaded it into the source monitor window. I played it to see what it entailed, and then, or use J, K, and L, right? Marking in, marking out, and then I hit the insert key or the comma to insert that clip into the sequence based on where the playhead is. So now I've just added a couple more, and I'm going to either drag this all the way to the beginning or hit the home key. I'm going to Command S to save the file, and I'm going to hit the space bar to play it. Okay, and as you're watching it, once you have sort of a rough cut laid down into your timeline, you want to then go through and look at every edit and see if it's exactly what you want to happen. If it doesn't, then you've got to finesse it, okay? And so you got to address each edit as they come along, all right? So let's do that. And there's a couple ways, and we talked about them, but we'll just review them. So if you hovered over, let's say as you're walking through, you think that edit should be a little smoother, okay? You don't want to see as much as the tall buildings. So you position your playhead where you want to, and as you hover over, it turns into the traditional edit tool. And if you click and drag again, remember, it'll remove frames from that tall building clip and leave a gap. And you could, of course, with the V key, select that gap. I'm actually going to hit plus plus to get in there a little bit better. Select the gap and hit delete, and it does a ripple delete. But that's too many steps, right? So I'm going to Command Z that twice. And instead of the regular traditional tool, I'm going to go into the ripple edit tool, which is B like boy. Okay, so we're just going to review. And if you hover over that, that looks like a yellow bracket with an arrow. Once you click and drag, now you're still removing frames from that tall building segment, but watch the other frames, the other video segments to the right, the ruined steps and the plowing fields. All of a sudden, those come with it, and everything downstream also comes with it, which is also very nice to happen. So that's B like boy, the ripple edit tool, okay? Once you're done, always go back to the selection tool or hit V to go back to the selection tool so you don't inadvertently move things that you don't want, okay? Once you make a change, back up your playhead and play it. See if you like it. If you don't, Command Z and change it. Make the change, okay? So that's a ripple edit, right? And then if we want to talk about a slip edit, which is a whole nother tool down below, the slip tool is the shortcut key is Y. What that does is it slips the information. It keeps the shot duration, but it changes the shot content. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to hit the backsplash key and fit everything into my timeline. And I'm going to back up here. There's a clip here. This guy right here. He's running and he's smiling, but there's a clip I know because I watched him. There's a portion of this clip that he looks sort of at the camera and he's smiling. I want to use that instead of just the side profile view of him running and smiling. So how do you do that? You park your playhead right on that clip, and if you hit the F key, like Frank on the keyboard, that does a match frame. So what that does is it actually loads up that clip, that Johnny runs clip, and loads the exact point where my playhead is parked. It loads it right into that section. So if we look in the source monitor window, we can see that of this entire clip, I only have this in and out section selected and brought into the sequence, but I have all this unused tail and all this unused head that I did not use. So now let's look. And the beautiful thing is with a slip, if I wanted this to stay 1 second and 10 frames, if I go into my slip tool, which is the Y key, if I click and drag now, you'll notice once one click will select it, and I'm in the slip tool. Now what happens? As I'm clicking and dragging, I am accessing all that information. I'm dragging to the left right now. I'm accessing all that information to the left, and I'm trying to figure it out. So these bottom two up here are the first frame and the last frame that I have available. So there we go. Do you see that on the very first on the left frame? I have him looking at the camera just slightly. And when I let go, now when I play this back, I'm going to hit V key to go back to the selection tool. And now he starts looking at that frame, and it's a little bit more exciting than just him on a profile shot. Okay, so he just starts to run right there. So I accessed with the slip tool, I accessed all this other information that I didn't have previously, but the shot still remained the same, okay? To make sure, remember, we have it still loaded. Its in and out duration is 1 second, 10 frames. If I click back on the timeline and I hit the X key on the keyboard, that marks just this clip. By marking it, it means it adds an in and out point for just that section. If we look at the program monitor, the in and out section is 1 second, 10 frames. So the duration stayed the same. I just moved forward in time for that video segment and accessed the handle for the head or the handle for the tail, depending on which way I dragged when I was in that slip tool. Okay, so I'm going to Option X on the timeline to get rid of my in and out, and click on this gray area to deselect that shot, and I'm going to Command S to save the file. Now let's talk about the slide tool. Okay, and that's right underneath the slip tool, and that is U, okay, on the keyboard. So let's say, I'm going to come down here. Let's say, for example, you're playing this, and as you play it, you think that this shot on the snowblower, not the snowblower, but the snowmobiler, he is too fast or too long, okay, and you want to make that a little shorter. With the slide tool, or the U key, all right, and I just hit the U key, but you can click that as well. What you do is you slide this edit, and this happens a little faster. What happens is I made this left side or the A side clip shorter, and then I brought everything along with it. Okay, let me Command Z to undo that. And so pay attention to I'm going to do it extreme. So look at the width here. I'm going to plus to maybe zoom in a little bit more. Look at how long ice flows is. And as I click and drag, I'm going to slide where that edit happens. I'm going to do it really extreme, so really shorten it. And now ice flows is really small. The duration is very small. And I've affected it completely, okay? So let me play that back. So I just back up, hit the space bar, and the ice flows is pretty small, and then Ice Fisher stays the same length. So with the slide tool, you change the shot position, physical position in time, but you don't change the content or the duration of the segment that you've already brought in, all right? Another thing I'd like to show you guys while I'm here is that you can, at times, if you want to, if you hover over your track selector panel, and you can make your track or your video track in this sense wider, and as you change the height of the video track, it starts to show you some thumbnail view of your segments that you have brought in. Let me hit the backsplash key to fit everything in. If your machine seems to be lagging, or it's like showing you that it's slowing down a little bit, the thumbnail view takes some RAM to actually display. So if that's the case, definitely you want to bring that back down to a normal size, but you can pull them up and get information about what's happening. If someone before you has pulled them up, or you can middle mouse button and make them, if you just hover over a track, audio or video, it's the same. You make them smaller or larger. If you hold shift, you make them all smaller and larger together, okay? If you've kind of gone beyond repair and you're not sure what to do, if you go up to the wrench up at the top, there's a couple different options you can have here, but you can minimize all the tracks, and then it shrinks everything down to a normal level, okay? So Command S to save the file. So a couple different ways you can see, you know, how to trim, how to manipulate your tracks, and make sure you get all of those edits exactly what you're looking for. In the next video, I think I'll show you how to edit some audio, do some basic audio editing, and then we'll move on from there.